Did you hear about Dave Mustaine?
Yeah, he's got throat cancer.
Yeah. All right, couple more questions.
Yeah, everybody's reaching out or giving the public show of support for their buddy Dave.
Yep. Okay, so
who we almost met one time because we worked backstage.
I peed next to Marty Friedman. It's the second podcast I brought that up.
Did you?
Yeah, I was peeing. I keep trying to tell everybody how you and I...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I just saw hair, curly hair, and I sort of looked back, which I shouldn't have done. We got to...
I just looked at Marty Friedman's wang.
I stood on stage...
It's massive.
While Korn played Blind. It was the most intense...
We were there.
Yeah, I was next to the drummer, and I'm surprised no one said, hey, half Asian dude, get the hell off the stage.
Don't you remember? We did the changeover. We stood there. We talked to Jonathan Davis. This is the story I tell all the time.
Right as he came off the bus.
Well, they came up to get on stage. Like, I saw Fieldy. I saw him.
We were pretending
we didn't know who was who, really.
We just knew dreadlocks meant Korn.
But I saw tracksuits, and like even the roadies had tracksuits, so I couldn't tell the roadie from like
it's like they're from another planet.
It was so weird. But I remember you had the album.
I had it back in 95 because they came
94.
out.
Came out in 95.
They had the demo and gave it to my manager, and he gave it to me. He's like, "You'll probably like this crap." And the only song that was on it was
Blind.
No, it wasn't Blind. Even it was forgot. It was track 10 on the original album.
Really?
And I loved it, but I used it to get people out of the store at the end of the night. So if there's people milling around, it would be
super heavy.
Yeah.
But I remember you had the album, or someone else on like one of my buses.
Right,
like my bus to the tech had it. It was like, who's this new band? Like, I think Mike has that. And then we ended up being the roadies for it, but they end up. I didn't know this was going to happen. But the album opens with Blind, and it opens with the "Are you ready?" Like, so we're standing there right now. We're rubbing literally shoulder to shoulder with Jonathan Davis as he's about to run on stage and play that song, because they would just play their album like open to close. That was their set. Mm-hmm. No in between songs banter. No. How's it going, Minneapolis?
It was a tight show.
You're here to see. It was like there was no humor. It was just all emotion, rage, whatever. And they're getting ready to go out. I think they're even playing the intro or something like it. And I turned to him and I said, "So are you ready? Like, are you ready to play the show?"
Did he laugh?
And I don't know if he laughed. It took him a second.
I didn't know this.
It took him. You don't know this?
No.
I swear to God, I shared this with you.
I was on stage.
I tell everybody. I swear to God, you were right next to me. Well, were you like behind the kit?
Next to the kit. If there was a video of that show,
were you hiding?
I'm behind his suitcase that had the bagpipes in it.
Why were you back there?
I was where I shouldn't have been, and I was waiting the whole time to get yelled at, but nobody yelled at me. Because I had a pass and I was wearing black, and they figured I was a stagehand.
You're there.
Yeah. But I remember
you're supposed to grab the bagpipes or something.
Well, the funniest thing, real quick, I know you're gonna.
No, go ahead.
I remember the "Are you ready?" And I looked out in the crowd. If you've ever seen
like
the Woodstock, you see the Woodstock
yeah.
version of it. It was that.
It was like that,
and I got chills, and I almost fell over because I got such chills.
You were blown away by it.
I was, and they got done, and I remember seeing this. They still weren't that big. People knew them, but they weren't. Remember when?
No, they were new.
What was
they were new? They were very.
But there's people in the front row singing every word, especially the build-up parts that were so cathartic. And I was thinking, these guys are going to be huge. There's no other band like them. They were so original.
Yeah, I just thought I was funny. I was like, "Are you ready?" And he didn't register. Funny. And then he kind of looked at me and like went, "What?" And I went, "Are you ready? Get it?" And I started like giving him the elbow, and he kind of rolled his eyes, like, "Yeah, man." He said something like that, and then literally walked like.
Wow.
A second later, walked out on stage.
It's so weird to see.
It hit me to like, I guess I didn't think
that dad joke.
2 seconds later he was about to walk out and grab the mic and say those words.
What if he choked up because he couldn't do it? Oh God, this guy backstage.
I guess I just thought I was funny enough. I thought I was funny enough to joke with him.
But he was probably in that zone where he's just like,
oh yeah, because it was all. Like, that was the biggest impression on me from that show wasn't the crowd jumping up and down, because people did that for, everybody was crowd surfing and moshing, whatever. But it was the way they did the show without
It was a pro.
the in-between banter.
It was like a production.
Well, the way they kept that emotion, like you watch Slayer, and Slayer will stop, and Tom Araya will speak in a regular voice, and he doesn't scream until he goes, "How's it going, Minneapolis? Are you ready for the next song?" Which is Dead Skin Mask, and then he goes into a screamy voice. But in between, he's jovial. Korn was not jovial. It was just like raw. And then I heard years later on someone else's podcast, I think they were doing like the 10th or the 20th anniversary tour, like they played that album in its entirety again.
Wow.
And Jonathan Davis said it was hard for him to do it because all those songs were about his like sexual childhood abuse and all this stuff, like where he's crying in those lyrics on those albums that was real because he was like reliving it all.
Especially the end of that Daddy song.
Yeah.
It's like,
sure.
Is that something you want to revisit? I can barely listen to it today. One of my students showed me Disturbed, Down with the Sickness, which I've heard a million times.
Yep.
Did you know there's a whole middle part where he screams about his mom and calls her a bitch and stuff?
Yeah,
I didn't know
it's
that.
a bridge.
It's a total Korn ripoff to me. And then I said, "Have you ever heard Korn?" She's like, "No."
Who's that?
I played it for her, or I was going to play it for her. I just told her to go listen to it because I didn't want to sit and listen to it next to her. And I was thinking, this is the most raw. It's someone having a breakdown in the studio and the producer going, "Keep it rolling."
Yeah.
Or whatever happened. But man.
Yeah, it is kind of painful to listen to it.
I was afraid to meet him because of that. When he came off the bus, I shook his hand. And I was worried he was going to take a swing at me or something. I don't know. Just someone who seems that unstable. But he's a cool dude.